Don't worry about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the opening of the special town meeting of June 22nd, 2013. I'm introducing Town Clerk Lillian Lamperti.
First of all, congratulations, Eastham residents. You're really doing a great job to get here and vote on these questions. Thank you very much. I'll read the call of the town meeting. Town of Eastham Special Town Meeting Warrant, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Barnstable County. 2, the Constable of the Town of Eastham in the County of Barnstable. In the name of the Commonwealth of Mass, you are hereby directed to notify and warn inhabitants of said town qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet at the Nauset Regional High School Gymnasium, Saturday, June 22nd, in the year 2013, at 10 o'clock in the morning, then and there to act on the articles in this warrant. You will have Article 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. You are directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at the post office in Eastham and North Eastham, 14 days at least before the date of holding said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of holding said meeting. Given under a hands and seal the 7th day of June in the year of our Lord 2013, signed by the Board of Selectmen. Greetings. In pursuance of the condition of the foregoing warrant, I have posted attested copies, one at the post office in Eastham and North Eastham, 14 days before the time of said meeting, signed by the Constable Kenneth Roderick.
I now call for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is above the door. If you would all rise, please. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. There are approximately 50 people still signing in, so there will be no vote until such time as they're in, but we will proceed with the rest of the meeting. We have a visual assist screen over here, which should be picking up all of the things that you hear from any of the microphones. We have a microphone over here by section 6, I believe it is. That is for those who are in favor of a particular article, and by section 8 for those who are opposed to a particular article. May I introduce the fire chief, Chief Glenn Olson.
Good morning, everyone. We obviously have a full occupancy of folks here today. I would ask all of you to assist your friends that may be sitting near you or next to you if they're in any need of assistance. There are public safety folks that will be moving around the building throughout town meeting. If you need any assistance, please raise your hand and we will come to you and assist you. In the event that the fire alarm system or any reason to leave the building, there are multiple exits from the building. There's obviously the exits that you came in and registered to vote at. The door to my right will also be opened if we need to evacuate folks from the building. And there are also exits at the back of the building that are marked. If we do have an event where we have to leave the building, please do so in an orderly manner. And please remember to help those that are next to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I recommend, if you're sitting in the bleachers, to sit in the lower seats because the sound echoes the higher up you go. and we can't fix that for you. I'd like to introduce the team involved in this program. I'm Dave Schrofer, the town moderator. I would like to ask the Board of Selectmen to stand and introduce themselves using their microphones, starting with Selectman Linda Burt and working this way.
Linda Burt.
Wallace Adams.
Martin McDonald.
John Knight, Vice Chair.
Amy Ekman.
Sheila Vanderhoff, Town Administrator.
Elizabeth Lane, Town Council.
Okay, I'm on my left, your right, is the entire board, the Finance Committee. I'm not going to introduce them in the interest of time, and we're going to move forward. I want to recognize all those who are making this meeting possible for you. Sue Fisher, the Assistant Town Clerk, Nan Balmer, the Assistant Town Administrator, the registrars and tellers who are all doing a yeoman's job. Non-voting taxpayers may speak only if they give their name and the subject to me, the moderator, in advance. Their request requires a majority consent from the voters according to the Eastham Home Rule Charter, which means the voters get to decide if they can speak. Voters must be in their seats. We have plenty of seats, and there's only about 20 people left to come in. And please be brief. I urge you to speak for very short periods of time. This is something we need to recognize, that you may have up to 3 minutes, but it'd be a lot better if you could speak for less time. And I urge you to stay to the end. There's only 6 articles on here, and staying to the end is a way to protect yourself from any other votes that might come up. You have been given a plastic packet which contains 3 cards and a pencil. The 3 cards have Article 1 in yellow, Article 2 in pink, Article 3 in green. I'm sorry, Article 4 in green. I apologize. Keep doing that. Article 3 does not require a secret ballot. Only Articles 1, 2, and 4 require secret ballots. You'll note that the cards are different color, and they do have the number of the article. And we will tell you when you will use these votes. There's only 2 things you need to know about these cards. You write either yes or no on the card. That's it. And then when we count, we will count those that have voted yes, we'll count those that have voted no, and determine what the outcome is of each of the articles that require this. Please note that if you put, gee, I think water is a great idea, we throw that ballot out. If you say, gee, I think it's too expensive, I don't want this, we throw that ballot out. You write yes, or you write no, and we'll count it. That's all. And so those are the 2 words, and we'll hold them up again, and I will hold up the color card, which you can see. And this is the only color card you should put in the basket when the basket is passed around for your secret ballot vote. If you put the wrong color in, that will not count. Plus, you won't have a card to vote when because these cards are not replaceable, and you may not reach, no one may reach into the basket either to take out, or you just drop it in. That's all you can do. We will repeat these instructions each time there's a secret ballot. Thank you. Okay? Oh, no, I need those to show. Okay. I am recognizing Selectman Burt to make a motion to consider Article 1. A 2/3 majority vote is required. Selectman Burt. Correct?
I move that the town votes to establish a town-wide water supply and water distributing system pursuant to Section 39A of Chapter 40 of the General Laws, and that $114,800,000 is appropriated to pay costs of establishing such a system for the town, including, without limitation, the taking or purchase of water sources or water or flowage rights, the taking or purchase of land or easements for the water system, or the protection of the water system, the construction and development of wells, the construction of water towers, the construction of buildings for water treatment and pumping stations, the laying and relaying of water mains, the purchase and installation of water meters, fire hydrants, and other department equipment, and design and engineering and other costs incidental thereto, and including, without limitation, all costs thereof, as defined in Section 1 of Chapter 29C of the General Laws, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow $114,800,000 under and pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 8 of the General Laws, and/or Chapter 29C of the General Laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore, and that the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow all or a portion of such amount from the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust, established pursuant to Chapter 29C of the General Laws, and in connection therewith to enter into a loan agreement and/or security agreement with the trust, and otherwise to contract with the trust and the Department of Environmental Protection with respect to such loan and for any federal or state aid available for the project or for the financing thereof, and that the Board of Selectmen is authorized to enter into a project regulatory agreement with the Department of Environmental Protection to expend all funds available for the project and to take any other action necessary to carry out the project, and that pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 39A, the Board of Selectmen is hereby authorized to act as water commissioners and to exercise all of the powers of water commissioners pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 69A, and that the town hereby accepts the provisions of GL Chapter 40, Sections 42A through 42F to authorize the collection of water rates and to permit the deferral of payment of water use charges by certain homeowner occupants, and that the selectmen are authorized to petition the general court to enact legislation as may be needed to permit the town to assess privilege fees, establish a water enterprise fund, and such other duties as are normally assigned to water commissioners. And further, provided that the general court may make any clerical or editorial changes of form only to the bill submitted to the selectmen, and such other amendments to the bill submitted, as the selectmen may approve before enactment by the general court, and authorize the selectmen to approve amendments which shall be within the scope of the general public objectives of this petition.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
There's being a second. Who's the presenter? Is Selectman Amy Ekman.
Okay. Can everybody hear me all right? All right, so please bear with me. Many of you have seen and heard this information, but some of you haven't, obviously, with this larger turnout. It's going to be briefer than previous presentations, so be patient. So, why do we need town water? We feel there are six main reasons. Our year-round population has grown over 600% since 1950, and our seasonal population is over 5 times that amount. Number 2, we were overbuilt with little thought of future consequences. 70% of single-family homes in Eastham exceed the current zoning of 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet. So we are very dense in Eastham. Number 3, we've been testing well water for almost 30 years and have seen a steady increase in nitrates. And we use nitrates as an indicator. And nitrates over 2 parts per million show impact from septic systems. Currently, over 40% of wells in Eastham show levels over 2 parts per million, compared to under 20% tested in 1984. So it's been steadily going up since 1984. And we are not saying that nitrates are harmful at these levels. They are simply used as an indicator, and they are indicating that wastewater is in our drinking water. Number 4, we have a landfill problem. Everyone's heard about this over the spring. Since last November, 1,4-dioxane has been showing up in private wells down gradient from the landfill. And we are still testing and don't know the full extent of the plume. A report is due next week. We may get back from DEP that they want to expand the testing area even further with those results. Number 5, our bill for 0% financing is advancing through the state legislature. Now, this is an expansion of a current law that already allows for 0% wastewater loans to communities. So we feel we have a very good chance of tapping into this money, and our legislators are working hard for us, but they really need our help and they need approval on this to really move this forward. Number 6, the benefits of town water. You get the highest water quality standards, mandatory testing, frequent testing. You get a report every year. You know what's in your water, and it doesn't cost you any extra on top of it to know that. You get water during power outages, increased fire protection. Nobody can argue with a fire hydrant every 500 feet that fire protection would not be improved. And we believe this is a great investment for future generations. So here's our recommendation: a town-wide water system. Every property gets a valve. All public and private roads will be served. Fire hydrants every 500 feet. 3 well fields, 2 water tanks, and over 129 miles of pipe. And as you can see how many properties that is, over 6,000 properties, and it takes 12 years to build in phases. Oops. Sorry, I'm going too fast here. Here we go. Our project costs, $114.8 million. Now, a lot has been talked about these engineering costs, and people say, oh, one engineer is going to get all this money, and then it's going to be the fox watching the hen house. Not the case. That engineering line covers all engineering documents and planning, all permitting, all legal contracts and legal work that has to be done on a project this scale. It also includes an owner's project manager, a clerk of the works, for 12 years while this is being constructed. So it's, like I said, not all going to one place. And those project managers and clerk of the works are hired by us to look out for our best interests. Also note that inflation and contingency are over 10% of the total costs. So we really feel that we've planned well for this. Bonding has been approved for a town-wide system by voters at the ballot box. $76 million approved in 2007, plus the $38.8 million last month, adds up to the $14.8 million for a comprehensive system. This is all we need, is approval here at this meeting. So, what will it cost us, and what will it save us? Cost, we average this out for a $400,000 median priced home in Eastham. 2% is the current rate of interest we can now get through the state. And if you look, it's just under $600 a year, $586 that your taxes would increase on average over the 30-year payback. If we can get the 0%, which our legislators are quite confident that we will, that number drops to $347 a year. So it's quite a drastic drop. But again, they need our approval to get this ball, or keep this ball rolling forward. So how could town water save you money? Eliminates private costs for wells. Your well water isn't free that comes out of the ground, as you know. You have to pay for pumps and equipment over the years, electricity. Almost everybody should, if they don't already, treat for pH, which we have very acidic water in Eastham, and if you don't treat for it, your pipes don't last as long, your fixtures, your appliances that use water, all those sorts of things. Fire insurance savings. Even the partial systems mentioned admit that there are fire insurance savings if you're near a fire hydrant, and with a townwide system, everyone will be. And it's also, your tax increase would be tax deductible on your income taxes. Now, everyone has a slightly different circumstance as to how much their private well costs and what their tax increase would be. Now, I've laid this out. I'm sure the people in the back can't really see that too well. What it is, basically, is on the left are private well costs. Now, again, these are an estimate, but they're a very conservative estimate of what private well water costs you. And replacing the pumps, the tanks, the treatment systems, and this is just minimal treatment. If you have to treat for any contaminants, it's obviously much more expensive for you. But even with that minimal well cost is $387 a year. Offset on the left, or on the right, sorry, the tax increase that we mentioned earlier. A hookup charge, people have been talking about that. We estimated this with a 100-foot setback. Now, a lot of houses in town aren't 100 feet from the street, so it would be cheaper than that. So again, these are very conservative numbers. The water bill at $250 estimate. Now, that's the only thing on that right-hand column that will increase. The others are fixed above it, the taxes and the hookup charge. That's a one-time cost. Fire insurance offset, we estimated $200. Some people have come to us and said they get over $600 off their insurance when they've called. So people will see that as soon as they're within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant, and we get that rating dropped. And also the tax deduction, which, again, conservative estimate, 15% tax bracket. Not everybody's in that low bracket. It was only $87, but you add that up with the offsets, and your net cost for water is $228 a year. Now, that's at the 2% rate. And it's not too bad, $19 a month. And this is for the townwide system. If you look at 0%, that number drops to $8 a year. With the offset, you have the same private well costs, but now you're paying less increase in taxes. So $8 a year, this really is affordable. So, jumped ahead here. So, how do we get to this? I explained to you what you get for your money. This is how we got there. First, we did a major wastewater study in 2008. And I was one of those people that voted against it in 2007 because I said, we need to address wastewater first. That's got to be a priority. So the town listened to a lot of people who said that and did a wastewater study. The principal recommendation of that wastewater study was that the town needs to provide water to protect public health. Now, this is the wastewater consultant. This isn't the water consultant. And so, we really have taken that. That was our first step in coming up with this plan. We did a lot of homework. We didn't just cook this up since town meeting. We've been working years on different plans, coming up with one that we thought would work best for Eastham. We've worked for years with environmental partners and GHD, our wastewater consultant, to come up with what we felt was the best plan. And both of these consultants were hired through competitive bid process. They didn't approach us looking to make money. We hired them. We've had independent financial review of our plan. Bob Ciolik from the Cape Cod Water Protection Collaborative. We also had an independent accounting firm, FAA. Mr. Mike Daly came and looked everything over to make sure that our numbers were what we were putting out, were correct, that we were putting out. Our plan has been reviewed and endorsed by the Cape Cod Commission, the Barnstable County Department of Public Health, and the DEP. They all said, you're doing it the right way. Other towns that piece it together seem to always run into trouble. You're doing it the right way. Some have come to me fearful that if we pass this, there'll be more development in Eastham. Zoning does not have to change. We would still be required to only have 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet in Eastham. Just because the water pass doesn't throw out our current zoning, and we would still hold that. We are working with the Board of Health, Water Management Committee, and Conservation Commission to develop both a plan to protect our ponds and an organic land management policy, which probably next month we will actually implement. And we will also continue working on the financial future of those who can't afford this by finding ways to offset their costs. If this passes today, we don't just stop, build it, and forget about what it's costing people. We will definitely keep working to make sure that this is affordable and people don't have to leave their homes, which some have said they might have to do. And, you know, if we don't, vote us out, because that's our responsibility to do that. So, Senator Dan Wolf and Sarah Peak have been here. They want our support to help move this forward. They feel they have a very strong case to make and that they can get this 0% financing for us, which will make all the difference in the world, as you saw by the numbers. And on that 0%, you know, this is sort of a one-shot deal with the 0%. If we do the whole system, we get 0% for all of it. If we do just partials, we get 0% maybe for that first part, but then after that, we wouldn't get the 0% again, because the legislation specifically states that it has to go to a town with no municipal water system. Once we start one, you know, we're back to paying interest. So lastly, you know, we are trying to be proactive and not wait until we have to be reactive like we are around the landfill area. We're trying to be proactive about the rest of the town. So please help us achieve this by supporting the townwide system. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Ekman. That was a 13-minute presentation, and I point that time out because petitioners will have an equal amount of time for their petitioned articles, 13 minutes. Are there any questions or any discussions? Microphone number 6 is for those comments that are in favor. Microphone number 8 over here is for those comments that are opposed. Normally, I will start with the opposed microphone. There's no one at the opposed microphone? Yes, okay. Please state your name.
Lisa Radke, 415 Meeting House Road. This is a question for the selectmen through the moderator. Article 1 calls for a complete town-wide water system. Wells in Northeast Ham and here at the high school are ready for use. Their combined capacity is 1.7 million gallons per day. Well H is not approved and has excess salt. If we support Article 1, where will you find enough water to fulfill the stated obligation, which in the summertime normal is 2 million and high peak is 2.6 million per day? So where will you get the stated obligation to supply all of our water if we approve this?
And which selectman or Selectman Ekman?
So hi, thank you, Lisa, for the question. First of all, District H does not have excess salt. They drill down until they hit salt, but that is not where the screens will be set. There is plenty of good water in District H. I don't know where this has come from that all of a sudden District H has salt in it. That is simply not the case. We do have the consultant here from Environmental Partners. I'm not sure what well test data he has with him, but that came up a couple weeks ago, and I asked them to provide us the testing data from those wells, and it is nowhere near any excess salt capacity.
Thank you.
This is according to DEP.
We now turn to the positive mic.
Do I not get my 3 minutes, sir?
I thought you were finished speaking.
No,
This is
I
not a
was not.
debate. We do not debate. You
I'm
just.
not. I would like to finish. She asked where this was coming from. I'd like to respond to that, and my question still was not answered. The well H salt capacity was from the Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, and I would still like to know that even with the H well, there's still not enough to cover the 2.6 million high peak. Where are we planning to get this if we put this in?
Thank you.
We do have capacity, Lisa. It's close to 3 million gallons of capacity if you combine all the different well fields together. There are 2 wells in District H, plus the high school well and the well at District G. You know, we've gone over this many, many times in other presentations. I didn't feel we had to go over capacity again this time, but there is plenty of capacity in those 3 well fields, and DEP has said that in looking at our plan.
Thank you. The pro mic.
Marty Haspel, 400 Governor Prince Road. As much as I dread saying it, I'm a senior citizen. My water has no detectable nitrates. I have a high-quality point-of-use charcoal filter just in case there are organic chemicals that I'm unaware of. So why am I at this microphone and not that one? I'm a medical scientist and a member of the Eastham Board of Health. It is my opinion that besides the indisputable problem of toxic substances leaching from the landfill, the quality of water in Eastham is deteriorating, particularly because of overdevelopment. Most houses in Eastham, if built today, would not be approved by the Board of Health. The old mantra of the solution to pollution is dilution is no longer true. Our soil is very porous and our groundwater is very high. Household chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers pass into our aquifer with little or no treatment. Many pharmaceuticals are excreted in biologically active form and pass through our septic systems into our drinking water with little or no inactivation. It's inevitable that this problem will worsen over time, and it's not going to get any less expensive. Again, why should I care? Like global warming, I probably won't be around when the problem becomes epic in proportion. We live in a society. The basic principle of all societies, be it a hive of bees, a pod of dolphins, or the citizens of Eastham, is the common good, taking care of each other. Paying for a system for all citizens, in my opinion, is not any different than paying for education if you don't have any children. I truly wonder if education weren't compulsory, whether or not there would be discussions of the costs of public education with opponents bandying terms like homeschooling. What example do we want to provide to our children and future generations? That it's better to deal with a disaster than prevent it? That we should be selfish and not care about the future? Eastham needs a central water supply that is tested and, if necessary,
15
treated
seconds.
to provide safe water. Pardon me?
15 seconds.
Okay. Fire safety, I checked with my insurance agent and my premium would go down $600 a year based upon extrapolating data from Wellfleet.
Thank you. Gentlemen? Gentlemen?
Okay, Roger Dumas, Cole Road. I'm actually a member of the Water Management Committee, and I've spent quite a bit of time over the last year researching the water safety question, going to primary sources and looking at raw data. As background, I have Master of Science in Applied Math and Master of Science in Industrial Systems Engineering, and worked 30 years as a research engineer for a company chartered in the public interest to do things like this. And what I found actually is quite comforting. The Silent Spring study is cited as identifying potential contaminants, but there are 3 important points that don't get mentioned. One, the report actually concludes that they didn't find any health risks. Secondly, the contaminants they found were in parts per trillion, and none exceeded the EPA limits for those that had EPA limits. Those that didn't, they point out that VOCs, by comparison, are regulated in parts per billion. And the third thing that I thought was really important was that what they found and the concentrations were similar to what they found in a previous study of Cape Cod public water supplies. So the 5 Eastham wells that participated, the only thing you can say from the study is that they're not any worse than Cape Cod public water. And you keep hearing this degradation that's continuing and all that. I looked into that as well, and it's actually not true. There's a cause and effect relationship between the number of septics and the nitrates. And as the town built up, the number of septics leveled off. So the amount of nitrate each year going into the ground leveled off. The aquifer is basically a conveyor belt, so it also leveled off. If you look at the 2012 test data, which I have, it's actually 3% better than 2003, 2005. So maybe not 1984, but it actually has leveled off. If it was declining over the last 10 years, it would have declined and not improved. Okay, finally, the 2 parts per million nitrate. Eastham is the only place I found that actually uses that as a decision point. And as I was stated, if it's more than 2 parts per million, something from septics is getting into the groundwater. But if it's nitrate and water and Silent Spring, other studies haven't found anything, then it's actually kind of a red herring. The EPA has a limit of 10 parts per million based on the 60-year-old blue baby syndrome study that has since been invalidated. And there's actually, if you go to the literature, a movement to raise that limit to 15 to 20 parts per million. So the Cape Cod Commission's 5 parts per million is to further reduce the EPA risk, which basically means that severely impacted at 5 parts per million, it only means that there's a 1 in 10 million chance that an infant under 6 months might drink the water and get sick from blue baby syndrome. I think there are plenty of reasons to support public water because individual wells are vulnerable. There's the firefighting, there's continuous water during power outages. But people should not get freaked out because the water actually is safe. Thank you.
15 seconds. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the applause on both sides, but from now on, if we can, please, it's taking your time. I've been told by lots of people you'd like to make this as short as possible, so please hold the applause. Gentleman at the next microphone.
Joe Bianchi, Samoset Road. As an engineer and homeowner, privileged to live in this town with my family, excuse me, for over 2 decades, I would like to address a few questions as a civil engineer. Recently, I was asked the question, why does the need for a town-wide system in Eastham differs from Wellfleet's, and why our water plan cannot be modeled after Wellfleet's partial water system plan? After evaluation of the site topography, groundwater movement, and solid waste volumes along the landfills of these 2 towns, I observe a few vital differences. Eastham's landfill volume is more than 150% more and larger than Wellfleet's. Eastham's landfill is surrounded by 3.5 times as many homes and businesses than Wellfleet's. And Wellfleet's groundwater generally flows only towards the bay, away from homes, while Eastham's landfill groundwater travels by homes and businesses and in 2 directions, to the ocean and the bay. Therefore, the answer was clear. The area of Wellfleet's landfill is very small, remotely located, and groundwater from the landfill affects few homes and no businesses. In discussing the engineering supporting a partial water plan like Wellfleet's in detail by qualified water supply engineers familiar with our problems, I was informed that construction costs to build such a system are 5 times greater than presently claimed in the very limited partial water plan that Article 4 follows. Article 1 will save the Eastham taxpayers money since it addresses all wells in the path of a moving toxic groundwater plume after it is built, while the very limited partial water plan does not. My entire family will be voting for this article since they're aware how other towns in our country have faced similar water problems in the past and corrected their problems with town-wide systems. Unfortunately, they also understand that some U.S. communities waited and delayed too long to correct their water problems and had to scramble to address higher toxin concentrations and bacteria after they were discovered. A vote for this town-wide water system will avoid and nearly eliminate all public health problems facing us today. I would like to thank the selectmen, EWAC, and town employees for educating us and getting us to this point and addressing
15 seconds.
the seriousness of this problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And the next microphone, please.
Hi, Lisa Panashoni, Massasoit Road. I'd like to ask Selectman Ekman to put up her slideshow so I can talk about her 1 through 6 reasons, if that's okay.
I cannot clearly hear what you said.
I'd like Selectman Ekman to put up her slideshow where it shows the 6 reasons, 1 through 6, if that's possible.
What is your question?
I'm going to question it as soon as I can see the slide, if that's possible. And if not, I'll do it without it.
Technically, can you back that up? But
He
you're
needs
still,
to switch
you're
it
still
over
only going to
there.
have 3 minutes, so
Can you stop the 3 minutes till you... Perfect, thank you.
it is stopped until he's
Thank
ready.
you. Thank you. I'd like to question basically all of them, but I'll start with number 1. Our community has grown. Is this microphone working?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Our community has grown. Consistently, the proposed Article 1 has shown that it's grown up to the year 2000, and from 2000 to 2010, it has declined. And that information has been available, but it hasn't been used. Eastham's population has declined from 2000 to 2010. Our town is overdeveloped. I'm not sure of the standards that are being used for that, but there are empty lots in this town. And if the criticism is that the elected officials, Board of Health, Planning Board, nominees and such, over the years have not done their job, then that's where the finger should be pointing, not at the town at large. We have a nitrate problem based on a 2% analysis, absolutely bogus. We're the only ones who use 2%. Silent Spring, speaking about percentages, if you analyze Silent Spring, they tested 5 parcels in our town. That's 1% of our town. And if people make assumptions about Eastham based on Silent Spring's 1%, then you're using bad math. We have a landfill problem, I agree. Number 5, repeatedly, the carrot has been held out in front of us for zero financing. That is not a guarantee. Neither was the sales tax on rentals, as it was held out as a carrot. It's not a guarantee. The town water brings major benefits. It depends on who you're talking to, because it seems to be wrapped up like a nice little Christmas present and delivered to the townspeople. Some people will open that Christmas present and go, yippee. And other people who have approached me tearfully, who have grabbed my hand and thanked me for speaking out, have tearfully told me that it's going to wreck their financial life. It may not seem like a lot to those high rollers in here, but the people that matter, who are the backbone of the working class, it matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Please,
Mr.
no
Moderator.
applause. No more applause, please.
Mr. Moderator.
On this microphone, please.
David, Mr. Moderator. Right here. David, I just wanted to address some of her points, if that's possible.
You may address these statements.
Okay, first of all, yes, the population did level off in the year 2000. But the nitrate levels, she asked questions about the slide, so I'm answering them. The nitrate levels have continued to increase.
Selectman Ekman. Yes, what is your point of order? Please come to a microphone so we...
She asked specific questions.
Will the shouting stop, please? That's not how we're going to run this meeting. There's 1,300 people in this room, and we need decorum, or we'll have to do something about that. Please let the people at the microphone control this meeting. That's how it works. That's what you voted on years ago. That's what we do today. Normally, the selectman can answer the question. In the interest of time now, is it urgent that you answer that, or?
It's not urgent. She just specifically asked that I answer these questions.
She did, yes.
If people don't want me to, I will not. I feel I addressed them all in the presentation.
Thank you. Next microphone, please.
Hi, I'm John Lacconi. I'm at 185 Austin Avenue. I'm not here to talk about health issues. I'll give you a very good reason to vote yes. History has taught us what the spread of a bad perception of a community will do to property values and businesses. Even now, some realtors are not showing Eastham homes for sale. Builders are expressing concerns with the building department. Summer visitors want to know if it's safe to shower here. Okay, so people get carried away with their perceptions. But they don't come here, our property values go down. So I would urge you to vote for some kind of a water system so people at least know we're trying.
Thank you, sir.
I have one more thing I'd like to mention to the board. When they do a contract, I've been through 2 communities already that put water in. Please make sure that you put in the contract that the builder is responsible when he digs up the streets to replace it with a proper road base back where he's dug. Otherwise, your roads will be crap. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The selectman will please note. To this next microphone, yes.
My name is Ann McKenna. I live at 5 Garden Lane. And I think everyone here knows how they're going to vote. It's a beautiful day out there. My granddaughter is here, just graduated from the Air Force Academy. I'd like to get home and visit with her. So I make a motion that we vote on this article now.
Ma'am, are you asking me to call the previous question? You have asked to call the previous question. I've heard a second. The question has been called. We will now proceed to a vote. This vote. So much for the not clapping part, huh? Your time, folks. This is a yellow ballot. This yellow ballot has the number Article 1 on it. The question that has been called is for Article 1. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. I apologize. This is actually going to be a voice vote first to determine whether or not you want to call the question. So first we do that. You are the legislative body. If you decide that you want to call the question and you want debate to stop, you will say aye. If you decide you do not want debate to stop, you will say no. Then we'll actually get to vote on the motion if it is successful. So, for those who would like to stop debate and call the question, say aye. Aye. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Those who would like to continue debate, say no. No. Ayes have it. Now that is normally a 2/3 vote requirement. Normally we do not count unless it's unanimous. However, with 1,300 people in this room, I only heard 1 or 2, and I call this, if the if the town clerk knows the count of the people in the room, will those who are voting no, please raise your hand so I can make a count of those voting no. This is the only way that the law will allow me to do this. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Am I missing somebody? All right, so the count is 5 that I can see, and we will subtract that number from the total count that's registered, correct, Town Clerk? Yes? So I'm advised by council I can take a voice vote. I rule that the motion has been called. We will now proceed to vote on Article 1.
Point of order, Dave?
Remember that this, when you call the question, it's not debatable. And so we're now going to have a vote on the actual
Dave,
question.
a point of order, please. Point of order. It's a simple one, folks. I have a tendency on secret ballots to fold it. Do you want them flat or do you want them folded?
You can do anything you want to with it as long as you write yes or no on it.
Okay, thank you.
And put it into the basket that will be passed to you. Will the tellers please come forward and collect the baskets? I'm not allowed to do a voice vote. Get the basket for your section, please. All persons must be seated except for the tellers. Ladies and gentlemen in the bleachers, counting the bleachers is the most difficult part of this process. I'm going to encourage you to move down as far as you can. The tellers will not go higher than the 10th step. If you're beyond that point, they are not going up there to count, and they're not going to point and count. So come down there. They will come to you with a basket, and you will place your vote in that basket. Can I, excuse me, Mary, may I see that basket for a second? Absolute quiet, please. I need to instruct you how you're going to vote. This, absolute quiet, please. Thank you. Thank you. This ballot, you're going to write either yes or no and deposit it into this basket that is passed in front of you. You may not reach back in and take it back out again. You may not touch this basket other than to pass it to the person next to you. So it will be passed across from one side to the next. Thank you, Mary. Please do not interfere with this process. The tellers, please move together and collect the basket on the opposite side, and back and forth you go. So, Bill, you would come over here, and your other teller needs to be in the other section. Come over here, please, and start the basket that way. Go ahead. Any tellers have any questions? We're all set? The tellers who have not been assigned to count, Sandra, you're taking that side. Who's your partner? You've got a partner? Thank you. And who's counting the second section here? Any? I don't think I have a counter on the third section. Or do I can't see. I'm going to go down there. Are the tellers all in? Have the baskets all been sent to the counters? This is what is happening now. This is what is happening now. The baskets are emptied onto a table. They are separated into yeses and nos and discards. And whoever contributed the $10, thank you very much. We don't know who's going to get it, but the town's budget is now resolved by another $10. When that is finished counting, the town clerk will receive the result. She will tell me, and I will tell you. Don't go away. Just to keep you posted on how things are moving, I've been asked a question which I think should get an answer. This vote and the vote on Article 2 and on Article 4 is binding on the town and does not go to a special election because there have been 2 previous elections. That's where you go to a ballot at town hall. And the first one in 2005, am I correct? 2007, was for 77 million, and the one a couple of weeks ago in 2013 was for 38 million, the total being 115 million, give or take. And so those have been voted on and passed. So the money is available, but not unless this town meeting chooses to proceed by a 2/3 vote on on any one of these 3 articles, 1, 2, or 4. So they're counting now. They're about halfway through. I'll be back to you in a few minutes.
All right, buddy, take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, the process of your vote was counted twice. Every single ballot was counted at least twice after being separated into yeses and nos. The count has been certified by the town clerk and two other persons, the assistant town administrator and the town, what is your title? Town accountant. So these are the totals. There were 1,345 people who registered to vote. 1,325 of them actually voted. I did not vote, so that's 320, of the total, it's 24 people did not vote. The yes votes were 809, and I want to caution you before you decide what you're going to do that any vote, positive or negative, is reconsiderable. So if you don't stay, you may miss out on a change. The no vote was 516. The article does not approve. It did not pass. Selectman Amy Ekman is recognized to make motion to consider Article 2.
I move that the town vote to establish a limited water supply and water distributing system pursuant to Section 39A of Chapter 40 General Laws, and that $40.8 million is approved to pay costs of establishing such a system for the town, including without limitation the taking or purchase of water sources or water flowage rights, the taking or purchase of land or easements for the water system and for the protection of the water system, the construction and development of wells, the construction of water towers, the construction of buildings for water treatment and pumping stations, the laying and relaying of water mains, the purchase and installation of water meters, fire hydrants, and other water department equipment, and design and engineering and other costs incidental thereto, and including without limitation all costs thereof as defined in Section 1 of Chapter 29C of the General Laws, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow $40.8 million and issue bonds or notes, therefore under Chapter 44, Section 8 of the General Laws, and or Chapter 29C of the General Laws, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and that the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow all or a portion of such amount from the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust, established pursuant to Chapter 29C of the General Laws, and in connection therewith to enter into a loan agreement and or security agreement with the trust, and otherwise to contract with the trust and the Department of Environmental Protection with respect to such loan and for any federal or state aid available for the project for the financing thereof, and that the Board of Selectmen is authorized to enter into a project regulatory agreement with the Department of Environmental Protection to expend all funds available for the project and to take any other action necessary to carry out the project, and that pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 39A, the Board of Selectmen is hereby authorized to act as water commissioners and to exercise all powers of water commissioners pursuant to General Law, Chapter 41, Section 69A, and that the town hereby accepts the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 40, Sections 42A through 42F, to authorize the collection of water rates and to permit the deferral of payment of water use charges by certain homeowner occupants, and that the selectmen are authorized to petition the general court to enact legislation as may be needed to permit the town to assess privilege fees, establish a water enterprise fund, and such other duties that are normally assigned to the water commissioners, and further provided that the general court may make any clerical or editorial changes of form only to the bills submitted by the selectmen, and such other amendments to the bill submitted as the selectmen may approve before enactment by the general court, and to authorize the selectmen to approve amendments which shall be within the scope of the general public objectives of this petition. And Mr. Moderator, I have just a short 3 or 4 slides just to show what's involved in this phase.
There's a motion made, seconded. Selectman Ekman will briefly present slides showing what area is covered by phase 1 of the water program. Thank you.
Okay. So Article 2 is basically phase 1, the backbone of the system. So this shows where the pipes would be in town. Take 2 years to construct this starting next spring. Over 44 miles of pipe, 3 well fields to provide redundancy in the system, and that expanded landfill area that's outlined in red covers an additional 600 properties, down gradient and even a little further from the landfill in case anything else were to seep out in that area. The system is easily expandable anywhere in town because, as you can see, those pipes go all over town, the main pipes do, and so it could be easily expanded in the future. This is the fire protection. 80% of the town would see fire protection. So insurance rates for 80% of the people in town would be affected. If you look at that purple, every property on there that's purple is within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. Now, as you can see over on the side, over here, it all looks purple. And that's only because that's in the seashore, and it's, you know, a little distorted because their parcels are so large that they touch within 1,000 feet, yet obviously you couldn't reach that far with a fire hose. Project costs for phase 1 only. Again, the engineering includes all those other things I mentioned before, the clerk of the works, project manager, legal fees, that sort of thing. And inflation and contingency, close to 10% of the total cost. Oops. Is that it? Sorry.
Anything further?
Yeah, I do have one more. Here we go. Just the breakdown of the cost for a $400,000 house. As you can see, at 2%, it's about $300 a year, and that number drops almost in half with the 0% financing, which we could still use for this phase, but that, again, not for future expansion of it. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman.
Anyone wishing to speak? Recognize the party at this microphone. State your name and address, please.
Sarah Clark, 60 Malls Pond Road. I move that we vote on this article.
I second that.
What
I
did
could
she
not
say?
hear what she said.
She said she wants to move on the article.
Are you, let the person who spoke, ma'am, speak very slowly. Please say your name and your street address.
Sarah Clark, 60 Malls Pond Road.
And your motion?
I move we vote on this article as written.
So you're asking to move the previous question, correct?
Yes.
Is there a second? There's a second. You recognize now well, there'll be no debate if this is approved at all on this article. And can I have, let's see, we can do this by a voice vote. If we can determine the difference, I'll call it. If not, we'll have to count. The motion is to call the question and close debate. All those in favor of closing debate, say aye. Aye. All those against closing debate, say no. No. Okay, I call that as the motion carries. Debate is closed. We will now proceed to vote on Article 2. Article 2 has a pink card with the number 2 on it. Will the tellers please come and collect the baskets? And for the people in the balcony, in the bleachers, We had a great deal of difficulty counting because of the separation. Please close up all the separations between rows and between people. We cannot count, and I will not count your vote unless you close up your ranks. Sit closer together because the basket was being passed all over the place. If you're up in the top, come down and be seated. I will not permit any ballot to be handed in by anyone who is standing up or coming down the steps to drop it in. You must be seated as we pass the basket. Thank you. And I need 2 more tellers if I can find 2 more tellers. Do we have any tellers who aren't working? Okay, thank you. Article 2, pink card only. Yes or no only. All baskets are in. Voting is closed. Even if someone comes in late, your vote will not be counted. Wally's next. Ladies and gentlemen, we had 1,275 people who voted, and 843 voted in favor of Article 2. 432 voted against Article 2. The motion is not adopted. I recognize Selectman Wally Adams for Article 3.
I move to transfer $158,746 from free cash to the following amounts, to the following accounts. $2,100 to the town clerk's salary account, $12,066 to the town report account, $24,580 to the FEMA account, and $120,000 to the well immediate response account.
Is there a second? There is a motion and a second. Anyone wish to speak to these? Mr. Adams, do you have comments to make? As the maker, do you have any comments?
No, I would refer to the town administrator.
You're deferring to the town manager. Would the town manager please say whatever, and keep it as brief as you can, please?
Yes. This article is to transfer $120,000 for water testing, town clerk ballots, and town meeting costs for chair rentals and hearing ink, and the amount is $158,746.
Yes, at this microphone, please.
I'd like to, this is Jamie Rivers of 15 Barkentine Court. I'd like to make a motion to reconsider Article 2.
I'm sorry, we have a motion on the floor. You can do that between the articles, but you cannot do it while there is a motion on the floor.
Okay.
Can somebody help the person here? One moment, please. One moment, please. Yes.
Hi, Lisa Panascioni, Massasoit Road. I suggest we approve this article. It's an expense that we've incurred. It also includes, besides the inspections or the testing for the land plume area, it includes the town meeting, which I'm not surprised it wasn't in last year's budget, but that's the way it goes, I guess. But the special town meeting, to have this today, is included in that. And I'd like to point out carefully that I hope we don't have to do this again, and again, and again, and again, and again.
We have your point. Anything
Point
further?
taken?
Point taken, thank you. Any further comments? Seeing no one at the microphones, I'm going to call the question. This is a voice vote at a simple majority. Those in favor of the Article 3 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. In my opinion, the yeses, the ayes have it. We had a person who wanted to make a motion, and you are now at this microphone.
Jamie
Are
Rivers.
you the same
Same person.
person?
Yep.
Okay.
Jamie Rivers, 15 Barkentine Court, and I make a motion to reconsider Article 2.
I second the motion.
Okay, I can't see who the second was. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. All right, I have heard a motion to reconsider Article 2, and as I interpret it, it takes a 2/3 vote. As our attorney interprets it, it's a simple majority. We'll go with a simple majority, and it's non-debatable. So if everyone would please sit down, no one should be on a microphone. We're taking a vote, and it'll be a voice vote.
There has to be a reason.
The motion to reconsider is if you are in favor of reconsidering Article number 2, which means you would, if this passes, you would revote it. If it fails, you would not revote it. All those in favor of reconsidering Article 2, say aye. Aye. All those opposed to reconsidering Article 2, say no. No. When you scream, I have to count. Will the tellers please count this vote? We're going to do it by we're doing it by a hand count. When you yell, I cannot interpret the vote, so we're doing it by a hand count.
Point of order. Point of order. Point of order.
Yes?
Any recall consideration needs to have a reason, not just because they want to. It needs a reason. It has to be a miscount. It has to be something definitive, not just because they want to. Follow the rules. Follow your own rules. Thank you.
But does she have, okay.
Mr. Moderator, another point of order.
I can't hear you.
Another point of order.
Okay, we have to deal with each point of order as they're raised. The point of order that she raised is whether or not the person had a reason. They are allowed to speak to this and explain what their reason is, but it is not required. I can ask it, but I usually do not. Anything further? You have a point of order?
Point of order. The motion for Article 2 was denied. It did not pass, correct?
Yes, but it's not debatable. This is not a point of order that you're raising.
It is a point of order. She had to vote against the article to be able to recall it.
We have not passed a rule that says that, and it's not statutory, which means it's not been passed into state law either. So I have to accept it as it's presented, just as I have to accept those who wish to call a question. It's required of me to do that.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
To my point of order, I don't think it's fair, and I don't know how you're going to back out of it, but you can't have people vote when it hasn't been explained why they want to reconsider. You can't just go forward with it when protocol hasn't been handled correctly.
Yes, and I do want to hear what she has to say. Would the person who made the motion please return to the microphone? If you wish to make a comment, the audience needs to know what your reason is for calling for a recount, please.
My concern is of some confusion because there was no discussion on Phase 2. And on Article 1, Article 2.
Okay, reconsideration is what we're discussing.
Yeah. There was no discussion on Article 2. I believe there was some confusion, and that was why
Please,
I
I can't hear, and I can't deal with these things unless I can hear. Thank you. Again.
There was no discussion on Article 2, and I believe there was some confusion. There was no clarification from the public on their sentiments.
I understand. So the fact that there was no debate is your reason. Thank you. Yeah, okay. All right, now this is debatable, so it's open for debate. I see. Are you at a microphone?
What are we debating?
This is open for debate on this motion to reconsider Article 2 only.
The people, Lisa Panascione, Massasoit Road, the people moved the question. The people unanimously moved not unanimously, majority moved the question. We did protocol. We followed the rules.
I'm sorry, but when people shout, I can't tell which way, who shouted the loudest. So the question as to whether or not it's reconsidered, I need to have a hand count. It's just a hand count. It's not a secret ballot. I'm sorry. If you're going to yell, I can't do it. Would you like to redo the voice vote? Okay. I've already put this on the table. All right. See if you can do this so that it's not hard for me to understand. Those in favor of reconsideration, say aye. Aye. Those opposed to reconsideration, say no. No. The noes have it in my view, and it is not reconsidered. Going on to Article 4, the maker of that motion will be Mr. Thomas Johnson. Mr. Johnson, your vote is a 2/3 majority. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My motion is as printed in the warrant, so I will read it and you can follow along in the warrant. I move to establish a water supply and distribution system pursuant to Section 39A of Chapter 40 of the General Laws and a portion of said town, and to appropriate the sum of $5,800,000 for establishing the system for the town, including the construction and development of public wells TPW-2B and TPW-3C, so-called in Water Protection Zone H, as shown on the zoning map, the construction of one water tower, the construction of a building for water treatment and pumping stations, the purchase and installation of water meters, fire hydrants, and other water department equipment, and including the design and engineering of said system and other costs incidental thereto, and including without limitation all costs thereof, as defined in Section 1 of Chapter 29C of the General Laws, and providing for the laying and relaying of water mains from said wells to Nauset Road, and crossing the same to lay a 12-inch water main on Schoolhouse Road with fire hydrants approximately every 500 feet, and an 8-inch water main with fire hydrants approximately every 500 feet on the following public and private roads: Old Orchard Road from Starlight Lane to Glacier Hills Road, Starlight Lane, Sharon Circle, Meeting House Road Rear, Widow Lane, Eldea Way, Alston Avenue, Alston Court, Malls Pond Road, Knoll Street, Chipmunk Street, Fairview Avenue, Piper Lane, Duck Marsh Lane, Steelis Circle. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow $5,800,000 and issue bonds or notes. Therefore, under Chapter 44 of the General Laws and/or Chapter 29C of the General Laws, and provided, however, that this $5,800,000 appropriation be contingent upon the passage of a debt exclusion under General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, parentheses, Proposition 2.5, so-called, close parentheses, and that the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow all or a portion of such amount from the Water Pollution Abatement Trust established pursuant to Chapter 29C, and in connection therewith to enter into a loan agreement and/or security agreement with the trust, and otherwise to contract with the trust and the Department of Environmental Protection with respect to such loan and for any federal or state aid available for the project or for financing thereof. And providing further, the Board of Selectmen is authorized to enter into a project regulatory agreement with the Department of Environmental Protection, and providing further that pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 39A, that a Board of Water Commissioners is hereby established, and said board is to exercise all the powers of water commissioners pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 69A, and providing that the Board of Water Commissioners shall have 3 members to be elected at the 2014 annual town meeting, and the Board of Selectmen are hereby authorized to act as water commissioners until said 2014 town meeting, and provided further that the town hereby accepts the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 40, Sections 42A through 42F, to authorize the collection of water rates and to permit the deferral of payment of water use charges by certain homeowners/occupants.
Is there a second? Second. Hearing a second. Mr. Johnson, would you like to make any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just a very, very brief description of this article. It is for $5.8 million. The price was derived based upon what the town of Wellfleet did 2 years ago, and also has inflation rates built into that, and also has almost $1 million in addition to the inflation rates. It supplies water to the properties that are near the landfill and provides for expansion with the pumps and the water tower for providing up to 2,000 homes with fire protection. And it also provides fire protection because of the water tower will make it quicker to fill up our tankers. Next slide, please. So what you get from this is the area that's in green. The red rectangle is the area that was defined as the original plume. They've been testing outside of that rectangle and have found no dioxane outside of that rectangle. They're continuing to test. If they do find some dioxane, obviously we would have to take some action. But at the moment, the green roads that are on there, it's 4 times the size of what that plume is. Next, please. What you will get is 2 pumps. Over on the right, this is the Wellfleet pump. Over on the right, you'll see a blue object. That's very similar to the one that you see in your yard, except that that's 12 inches instead of being the 4-inch that you have. Another one on the left, house in the middle for storing chemicals. There's also a backup generator on the left-hand side and a propane supply for it. Next, please. Also get a water tank. This is 500,000 gallon water tank supply, a 20 some odd days supply to the people if it never is expanded, but also supplies very high pressure water for filling up tankers for fire protection, and also for fire hydrants that are in there. You'll notice that there's no name on that tank. The people of Wellfleet thought about what they wanted to put on it, and they put absolutely nothing. People here have suggested we put a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit sign on it. Next, please. Because of that tank, this tanker will be able to fill up very quickly. And we have 1,000 gallons that's on our pumper, and we have 2,000 gallons that's in this tanker. We also have the towns around here, all of them have a tanker, so if we have a big fire, they can just keep relaying back to the closest fire hydrant to get water to help put out the fire. So this does increase our fire protection, even if it never expands beyond the area. Next, please. What it'll cost you? If you have the same $400,000 home that the other articles were talking about, $26 a year if we get a 0% loan. They talked about how assured they were of getting a loan for $26 million worth of interest. This is only about $7 million worth of interest, so we shouldn't have any problem getting that. If for some reason we don't, it's going to cost you $46 a year because of the interest. No additional taxes in the future. Once this tax bill is paid in the beginning and we have the starter system, any additional expansion would be paid for with betterments. If the business district wants to have water, they can pay betterments for their water. If another part of town wants water because it's very expensive for them because of the minerals in their water, they can apply to the water commissioners and get water and pay for the betterments. Next, please. What it saves you. No more testing near the landfill. We just approved over $100,000 to pay for additional testing. This is in addition to the $100,000 that we normally pay for. So that'll go away. As soon as those people get water, there's no need to do any, the DEP will no longer require us to keep testing. Less chance of lawsuits from the property owners in that area. Once they have water, in fact, the demand letter that was given to us from the Coleys, one of the conditions in that was as soon as they get town water, they were going to drop their demand. A possible decrease in your fire insurance. If you live near one of these areas, or if you live in an area where the expansion's going out, as somebody said, you could get up to a $600 reduction in your insurance. And you will pay nothing additional until you have your water service installed. So if you're a taxpayer and water's not coming to your area, you don't get a tax bill for the increased water. Only the people who would be expanded, that's the people who would pay, and they would pay as a betterment. There was much concern about the interest that would be lost because we weren't going with the whole thing. Nobody's paying any interest. If you want to pay off your betterment, you can pay it off the day it's given to you. You don't have to pay a bit of interest. If you want to pay it out over a time period, it's just like anything else that you buy with a time payment, whether it's a car or a house or anything else. You'll pay the interest, and that interest would probably be about 2% on that betterment. Next, please. So finally, we have a chance to get a water system started in this town. We have a chance to do what's right for the people that have been affected by the dioxane and other VOCs. We have a chance to stop having to monitor down there, and we have a chance to have a system that can supply up to half of the town without any more pumps or any more towers or any more infrastructure paid for by the citizens of the I almost said United States, of the town of Eastham. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And yes, if we can get the U.S. to pay for it, wouldn't that be nice? Now, at the opposing microphone, state your name and address, please.
Adele Blom, 115 Kingsbury Beach Road. Don't be misled by this proposal. It does not even cover the whole of the landfill that it purports to be solving your problem. It will not solve your problem. It does not cover the whole of the current study area.
Please address the moderator.
And one town resident has testified at one of the public sessions in which this plan was described that she, in fact, lives outside of that little area where those roads are, just over a bit, and she has dioxane in her well. So clearly, it does not even cover all the people where the dioxane is currently being studied and thought to be. And it certainly doesn't cover the whole area of the potential of where the plume may go in future years. The only plan that would have done that was either the whole town plan or phase one, which covered all the landfill and outside it. And as Mr. Johnson has pointed out, no one outside the plan gets water. In fact, no one outside the 176 houses on the designated roads gets water without application to a to-be-elected Board of Water Commissioners, whatever they decide to do. And then, it's not only if they are willing to pay betterments. Every property owner, every person who owns property that the pipe has to go past has to pay betterments. Because the availability of the water as it goes past their house. I'm sorry, I was talking to the people back there.
Address me.
The availability of water in that pipe passing their house means they have to pay a betterment too. So basically, nobody outside these 176 houses gets water unless everybody along that water line agrees to it and agrees to pay betterments. The reference to the two wells is a gimmick. There is no redundancy in here that will allow a well to be taken offline if it needs to be treated. Yes, there are two wells, but they are in one well field. Both wells are drawing from the same well field, drawing the same water. So if there's any problem with that water, bingo, you got to shut it down. You have no redundancy, which the other plans, of course, offer. One well went bad, you could have shut that down and relied on the other wells. No professional engineer has yet come forward to say that they have examined this plan and have assured us that it can be built for the stated figure of $5.8 million. If in fact that figure is wrong and this article is approved, we got nothing. Because if it costs more than $5.8 million, it cannot be implemented. That is it.
15 seconds.
And yes, maybe some people, if it were implemented, would get fire protection outside of those 176, but only if you are within 1,000 feet of one of those hydrants on one of those designated roads. That is how limited this plan is.
Thank you. Please, no applause. Mr. Johnson, you've already spoken.
Mr. Moderator, I'm the maker of this article. I can speak as many times as necessary. If you'll read the back.
Mr. Johnson.
But apparently not for very long.
No. This is not supposed to be a debate back and forth between you, but if there's something that needs to be said.
I will make two brief points, and while I'm making those, if you look at your rules on the back, it says the maker can speak as often as possible. The brief points are fire protection is for everybody, not because of fire hydrants, but because of the ability to fill the tankers quickly.
Thank you. The next person in line would be over here in the blue dress.
Deanna Ross, Alston Avenue. I represent not only my family, but the majority of the families that live in the landfill area. We do not support Article 4 because it absolutely does not supply municipal water to all of the individuals affected by the landfill contamination. Evidence has been shown that Article 4's plan does not cover every single property with 1,4-dioxane contamination. Results from contaminated wells continue to be turned into Board of Health. The boundaries are not set. Article 4 is not a solution. It is a distraction at best. I urge you to vote yes. I urge you to vote no on Article 4. Big mistake. Vote no on Article 4. Article 4 covers nothing east of Schoolhouse Road, and it shows nothing north of Aldea Way. There are wells on these roads which truly have 1,4-dioxane contamination. The study area is a moving target. It is expanding based on test results that continue to come in. This plain and simply means that the boundaries have not been set. Article 4 is not viable based on these facts. It is also not an engineered plan and has no permitting for the well that Mr. Johnson plans to use. How do you justify only covering an area when the test area is expanding and positive results continue to come forth? You cannot. Vote no on Article 4.
Thank you. The gentleman in the yellow.
Roger Dumas, 107 Cole Road. I don't know if the 5.8 million is perfect or not, and I don't know if the coverage is perfect or not. However, after the 2012 vote, I think the town should have offered something in the spirit of this proposal to the town. We really shouldn't be holding the people around the landfill hostage to the larger proposals. This is consistent with Wellfleet's lessons learned and their advice to Eastham. And so I support voting for this because I think it sends the message that we need to take care of these people and we can't keep holding them hostage to just more and more town meetings on the same thing. So anyway, that's my perspective. So thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your comments on this side.
Yep. Kara Risk, 35 Deerfield Lane. While I'm pleased to hear that the proponent of Article 4 finally acknowledges the need for town water, this particular article is fatally flawed. Its purpose is to supply safe drinking water to residents in the area of the landfill, but it does not. The study area for dioxane is expanding to the east and west of the landfill into areas not covered under this plan. Also, the estimated cost is not based on a technical review. It's based on a plan for a different system in a different town. If you believe that our community needs help in the landfill area, this is not the way. And also, one thing to point out, it is untrue that no more landfill monitoring will occur under this plan, that we still need to monitor those wells because you're not requiring everyone to hook up to town water. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker, please.
Lois Roth Johnson, Herringbrook Road.
Lois, I think you can pull that microphone down.
Lois Roth Johnson, Herringbrook Road. We're at this point because the two previous water articles failed, again. Since 2007, articles for townwide water have failed 3 times, and articles for the roots of a townwide water system, falsely labeled a partial system, have also failed 3 times. Now we have a chance to vote for a small system to service the area affected by the landfill plume. Some of you have said that neither you nor your friends would vote for it, and I'm trying to understand why. I know it's not what you want, not 100% what you want, but it's a chance to get a municipal water system started in Eastham and to supply the area in the town that needs it the most. Water mains will go right down all of Alston Avenue and all of Schoolhouse Road, and the proposed system is capable of expansion. I'm almost 59 years old, and I know that throughout my life, I have not gotten 100% what I've wanted, almost none of the time. But when I was a kid, maybe I put up a big fuss about something like that, but as I matured, I understood that growing up, you don't get 100% of what you want all the time.
One moment, please. Officer, would you please see if you can stop that vehicle from backing up so we lose that sound, or someone? Don't close that. We need the air, please. Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'll give you an extra minute.
Don't always get what you want all the time, and pouting and refusing to accept what is possible and reasonable is not necessarily a good idea, because then you get nothing. Don't vote no out of spite. Vote yes out of concern.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. At this microphone.
My name is Susan McDonald. I live on Bridge Road. I'm referring to a portion of the last portion of this amendment. I would like to have the Water Commission by elected, I'm sorry, not elected, but appointed by the Board of Selectmen, who are capable of selecting people who know what they're doing when it comes to managing water, and not by an election.
I'm sorry that I couldn't hear the last.
I feel as though the commission should not be by election, but by appointment of the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, so you're challenging that aspect of it that
That's
says...
right. I would like to see that
the
deleted
commissioners-
from this. I would like to see
and
that
this would be
amended
elected.
from this bill.
I understand. Okay. This microphone, please.
Susan Wasson, 95 Blue Heron Way. I have been opposed to the town-wide system, and I'm very surprised so I voted no against number 1, but I did vote yes for number 2, and I'm very surprised that it didn't pass. At least it was a beginning, and it had all the regulations and everything in order. However, here we are. This is our last chance, unless you recall number 1 again, but this is at least a start. Our neighbors around that landfill are entitled to clean water. I am sick and tired of the division that has been caused in this town because it's us, the evil, vicious, whatever, mean-spirited people that we are, don't want water for our neighbors. That is not true. I think our selectmen are well able to work with the proponent of this article, and at least let's get it started. Let's do the water, let's do the right thing, and tweak it. Just tweak the damn thing.
Thank you for your comments. Please, gentlemen.
Mr. Johnson has claimed that, Peter Khalil, 60 Aces Road. Mr. Johnson has claimed that he's based a lot of...
and for everyone, this is Article 4. It is not attached to the name, it's Article 4.
Article 4
Thank you.
is largely based on the system of Wellfleet. I'd like to remind the voters of Eastham that you can't compare turnips to oysters. The town has just chosen to ignore the advice of professional engineers and environmentalists' recommendations. Why on earth would they listen to a proposal by someone who is neither an engineer, an environmentalist, a firefighter, or an accountant on such grave matters? Vote no on number 4, please.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Mike Kozlowski, 63 Acres Road, Northeast Ham. This plan definitely has many great features. It's expandable, it's fiscally responsible. I think everyone in this room can find something good that it does for themselves and for their neighbors. And I urge you to vote yes, and please get started. We cannot continue to delay this anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. The chairman of the Finance Committee has signaled me some time ago that he would like to speak, and I would like to give him that opportunity. Mr. French?
Russ French, chairman of the Finance Committee. This $5.8 million plan for me still doesn't make any sense. 0 cents. It's the most costly in both the short and the long term. It does not provide adequate liability mitigation, which will now spread to the rest of the town. And every time a $1.9 million suit comes up against us, that money is going to go down a rat hole, and you will all pay for it. It's a terrible choice if we ever get to a 0% loan, because it loses us $23 million, which would actually save the taxpayers. It most likely doesn't cover the future I-4 dioxane area. It has not been professionally engineered, and it has no chance, absolutely no chance to be expanded as the choice is only voluntary betterments. That is not a choice. You cannot build a system off of a voluntary betterments. It's stupid, it's crazy. And in my opinion, and this is my opinion, this plan does not deserve a single vote at this town meeting.
Quiet, please. Does that conclude your remarks, Mr. French? Mr. French, does that conclude your remarks? Yes. Yeah, okay. So now we go to this microphone.
No, to me,
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, I'd like to respond
Point of
to Mr.
order, I
French.
believe I was next.
Please. He spoke to the same issue if he had been at that microphone, so I have to go to the other side. I have no choice. Please go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I don't know where to start. First off, we have no lawsuits. We never had a lawsuit. The $1.9 million was a demand letter, and the demand letter specifically said, if you give us town water, we won't pursue this. This plan gives them town water. I can understand Mr. French's logic on that. As far as the cost per house...
No names, just...
I'm responding to that, okay? Yep. As far as the cost goes, it's 5 cents on your tax rate. Your current tax rate is $6.54. This adds 5 cents to your tax rate.
Thank you, sir. Are you finished? To this side, please, ma'am.
Stacy Klumkowski, 80 Sistera Way. I guess I'm going to speak for both myself and what I'm guessing are countless additional families who may have readable levels of dioxane in their water. I am the person to whom one of the previous speakers spoke about. Sistera Way is not in this article's plan. And I'm not spiteful about that, but I believe that I am entitled to clean water, clean, safe drinking water, just as much as anyone who is in the plume of the landfill is entitled, just as anyone who lives in this town is entitled to clean, safe drinking water. I am voting no, and that gives us nothing until next time. But I'm willing to take that chance. Vote no.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, green shirt.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Gregory Douglas, and I live at 130 Thumpertown Road in Eastham. I just want to say that I'm not an accountant, I'm not a fire expert, I'm not an engineer, but I am an expert in environmental chemistry, and specifically with groundwater and soil contamination. I've testified in both state and federal court on these matters, as well as at the United Nations and in international arbitrations regarding environmental contamination issues. I've had an opportunity to work on Cape Cod as the Environmental Laboratory Director for Barnstable County, which was one of the highlights of my career, because we were able to work on the Mashpee landfill issue and were able to identify a very high level of contamination that was impacting the downgradient neighbors at that area. And as a result of our work, we're able to get them on to bottled water and eventually onto public water. I just think that as an expert in environmental litigation, as a testifying expert on these matters for the past 25 years, I think that we have both a moral and a legal obligation to take care of our neighbors who live downgradient from the landfill. And I think that this program is a start. We have to begin and end the distractions that we've had at this point and begin to focus on solving the problem. The problem is people are being, or could be, exposed to contaminants from the landfill. Today we have a chance to begin the solution. So I'm hoping that everybody will vote for this article, at least to begin this, to solve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have a request from a selectman, Martin McDonald. Same 3 minutes as everyone else, please.
I also happen to be an environmental engineer, although retired for some time. I think this proposal is well-intentioned, but as pointed out, it has a number of problems that really make it impractical. I wanted to point out the engineering. It's a cut and paste job from other projects, and no engineer has signed on to endorse the engineering of this project, and it was done over a period of roughly the last couple of months. It's a hurry-up job with no engineering verification. As people have already indicated, the limits of this proposed system don't cover the limits of the plume and the houses affected by the plume. It doesn't solve the whole problem of the dioxane or any other emanations from the landfill. And if we have to expand it, It's going to require betterments and hookups by those people who need to get additional piping to their home. And if you don't live in the landfill area, let's say you live over by campground and you need water, let's say in the next 10 years, you're going to have to pay betterments, and you got to get everybody along the pipeline, to your point, to also agree to the betterments. The point is, you'll probably never get water into other parts of town. The last point is, the financial analysis here is also cut and paste. It's a hurry-up job, and there's no endorsement by any financial planner or the engineers that this financial analysis is going to work. The fact of the matter is, this plan, it doesn't solve the problems, and it's going to end up costing us more. We'll be back here next year for additional money for this particular plan. Let's wait and come up with a plan that's going to really solve the problems. This is not a good plan. It's a hurry-up plan. It's a cut-and-paste plan. It's not adequate.
Thank you, sir. You cannot stand it. You go to the microphone, sir, to either microphone if you wish, and when it's your turn, you can do that. Lady in red?
I'm sorry. Leslie
Name and address, please.
Leslie Ann Morse, 42 Dyer Prince Road. I may be one of the few people here who've ever worked on setting up a municipal system, and I have worked for other water districts. Very simply, this is a start. It gets us in the game, and if we need to expand it, it's very easy. The Board of Water Commissioners comes to this meeting, town meeting, and says, we want to take an easement in such and such a roads and issue betterments. You don't have to get everybody to agree. You simply have to come to town meeting and say, we want to do a taking for an easement for water purposes and issue betterments. It's not terribly complicated.
Thank you for your comments. This over here, sir.
Larry Hill, 80 Shirtliff Road. I'm sorry, but I cannot endorse or vote for this Proposition 4. I believe it's irresponsible. I'm sorry, I can't endorse or vote for Proposition 4. I believe it's irresponsible because it does not address what will in the long run be the greatest problem, which is the overbuilding of the town. It does nothing about that. It won't help. We've heard very in detail from both members of the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen specific deficiencies. I'm not going to repeat those, but I object to committing to $5.8 million on a budget that has not been vetted without the approval of professional engineers. It's a big mistake. It's penny wise and pound foolish. I'm voting no. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Did I have a request from Mr. Adams or not to speak on this?
Yes, I would.
You're recognized for 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. In Article 4...
It's 2 yeses. 2 yeses.
Sorry, you're right. My apologies. She's absolutely right. Wally, I'll call you next. Go ahead,
Hi.
Lisa.
Thanks, Mr. Moderator. Lisa Panascione, Massasoit Road. Mr. Moderator, I make a motion to move Article 4.
You're making a motion to move the previous question. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. This will be a voice vote, and please, if you yell, I'm hand counting. Simple majority? Simple majority. Don't yell. Those in favor of ending debate and thus voting on Article 4, say aye in a normal tone of voice. Aye. Aye. Those opposed to ending debate, say no in a normal tone of voice. No. The ayes...
Point of order.
Excuse me, I am calling the motion. May I finish at least that much? Please wait for just a second so I finish this. Thank you. So the motion carries. We will now proceed to a vote. You have a point of order?
Yes, you took that comment even though that was not the next comment. So the motion was called ahead of the appropriate comment.
We just have to keep going. We can't untie all these knots. In any case, we are now proceeding to a vote. Because it's a water article and because you have requested that we have secret ballots, we will go to the secret ballot. This one is green. It has article number 4 on it. Will the tellers come and get the baskets, please? And then we will count this vote.
Question, Mr. Moderator. Question, Mr. Moderator.
I don't see where, oh, yes. Yes,
Can we
sir.
not go on to Articles 5 and 6, since this is a secret ballot?
Sorry, sir. There's a count being made. You cannot speak at the microphone. I'm sorry. Come and see me directly. Article 5 is Mr. Fisher, so I'm going to take Article 5. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, I'm going to proceed with Articles 5 and 6. Please take your seats. We can say that. Article 5, Mr. Fisher is the maker. Is Mr. Fisher present, and would he come to a microphone, please? Mr. Henry Fisher? Oh, Sam. I know, but I promised him he could do this. Is Mr. Fisher here? Yes, sir, I see you. Come to this first microphone here, sir. Would you read your motion, just your motion now, not the whole rationale, just your motion to put this on the floor, i.e. you can, do you have it written out?
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 5, to see if the town will maintain and plow Hoffman Lane, to which many homes in the area have deeded rights of access in the same manner as they have for over 40 years, or take any action relative thereto.
Thank you. Is there a second? Okay, sir, do you have a discussion you wish to present to us?
Mr. Moderator, for those who don't know where Hoffman Lane is, it intersects with Route 6, roughly across from Hemingway Landing.
Excuse me, do we have a slide for this?
I don't believe you do, sir.
Okay, thank you. Madam Administrator, do we have a slide for this? Do we have a slide?
The ITI has a slide. Jack?
If you can provide a slide, but go ahead, sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Hoffman Lane provides access for over 100 families to town-owned, town-maintained, town-plowed roads. It has maintained this road and plowed it for over 40 years and stopped about 2 years ago. The town authorized and approved the development of about 95 homes back in 1971, all of which are on public ways, and the town failed to require the developer to construct an adequate, accepted public way to the approved development. Since then, Hoffman, paved by the developer for construction access, has been used as a public access for all the businesses, deliveries, public safety access, and so forth. The road was maintained by the town, as I mentioned, until about 2 years ago. Although the town will not perform the necessary repairs if this article passes, we ask for your yes vote. This article is important to show that this community has a resolve to solve a problem which affects not only those of us who live within that development, but our visitors, merchants, and tradesmen. In the interest of public safety, we ask that until the next town meeting, when we can address this again in perhaps a more appropriate way, we ask that emergency repairs be done now.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Mr. Moderator?
David. Hang on a second. There is a request because of the commentary that is written in your warrant article. The selectmen wish to address that issue.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Yes, as you can see in the summary of this, and as Mr. Fisher stated, by passing this, we actually can't do anything yet. Whether it passes or not, we are prohibited from doing work on that road until we pass and accept another general law, Chapter 40, Section 6N, and then also for plowing and other things, it's other chapters. So more work would need to be done on this. We all understand the problems these people have getting into their properties. We've tried to address it in the past, and it seems to swing either to Hay Road or Hoffman Lane back and forth, and we haven't been able to land on a resolution. I think by adopting this law next year, as Mr. Fisher said, we could then probably move forward. But just to let you know at this time, if this passes, does not give us authority even for emergency repairs, Mr. Fisher. I'm sorry, to be done.
I understand that, and I ask for the community's support nonetheless. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I want to make one comment that these last two articles are petition articles. People get signatures for them, and they can come before town meeting. The two laws that are required for that motion to be acceptable can be petitioned if the selectmen don't do it. So it's not that it's closed out for any private road. I recognize the next microphone.
I may be at the wrong mic. Lisa
all
Panascione,
right.
Massasoit Road. In the interest of the heat and the length of the meeting, I move the question, Article 5.
She has moved the previous question. Is there a second? I hear a second. We will now have a voice vote. The voice vote is to close off debate and vote. However, please be aware that if this vote passes, it is illegal for the town to act on it. So it would simply be symbolic. It's kind of like a resolution, not like an actual motion. One moment, please. So this is a resolution. In other words, it's non-binding on the town because it doesn't meet state law. So now, if you are in favor of closing debate, please say aye.
Aye.
If you're not in favor of closing debate, say no. Okay, so debate is now closed. That means we could vote on the article except for the illegality question. Since there's only a resolution, we can still vote. I'm going to do it as a voice vote. It only takes a simple majority to vote for it. So now you are voting for Article 5. Actually, for this moment, you really don't need the screen. All those in favor of this article, say aye. Aye. Those opposed to this article, say no. Wow. Let me try this one more time. Again, no shouting. Keep it calm. I'd like to do this one more time. Those in favor of the article, say aye. Aye. Those opposed to the article, say no. I rule that the noes have it. The yeses have it, in your opinion? I'm not going to count this one. It's a resolution, it's non-binding, and it's illegal for them to act on it. But we got the message, and let's take this as a yes vote. I'll overrule myself. We'll take it as a yes vote with the understanding that it can't be implemented. And the town clerk will so note that although the resolution is adopted, it may not be executed. We're moving on to Article number 6, and I recognize the speaker from this Board of Selectmen, who is Amy Ekman. No, am I correct?
6.
Who's the maker of this motion?
I move for indefinite postponement of Article 6.
Is there a second?
Second.
This is a motion to indefinitely postpone this article. And it's been made and seconded. Now we're only voting now to indefinitely postpone this article, which means A, no debate, and B, whatever the decision is what it is. They're still continuing to count Article 4, and they'll let me know as soon as they're ready. I'm sure they will be when we finish this vote. I'll do this as a voice vote, and it's a simple majority. Mr. McDonald can speak to the motion if you wish.
I'll go ahead and speak to it, just to say that we had entered into this settlement agreement, tentative settlement agreement with a settlement offer, sorry. And, you know, unfortunately, we asked for certain things to provide backup so that we could recommend this article at town meeting, and that has not come forward. And so that's why we feel it is appropriate to indefinitely postpone this article.
Thank you, Selectman. Is there anyone at the microphones? Seeing none, I'll bring this to a voice vote, simple majority, correct?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Brian Volk, 140 Summit Ave. This is a claim letter for $1.9 million, as I understand, for property damage and alleged personal injuries from pollution to the water. But we haven't received information on what the alleged injuries are and what the proof is on the claims. I do this for a living. I'm an attorney. I do toxic tort defense work, and I am greatly alarmed to hear that you would pay $1.9 million on a claim like this without at least explaining to the public what the alleged injuries are, what the proof is in terms of experts, and whether those experts have been vetted by experts for the town to see whether the claims are simply junk science. Anybody can make a claim. It's done all the time. Figures like this are thrown about all the time, and usually it's scrutinized in great detail before anything like this would be offered up, and perhaps that has been done, but at least I'm not aware of it, and I would like to know what has been done on the part of the town.
Mr. Moderator?
Thank you, sir. Madam Ekman.
Yeah, he's absolutely correct. We did not receive that information. That's why we are not going forward. There wasn't any agreement to give them this money. It had to be approved by this body. But we asked for that backup from them, and we did not get it. And so that's why we are postponing the article and don't want it to go forward. We don't want to approve that money to be spent.
Thank you, Selectman Ekman. And I see no one at the microphones. I'll call the question. This is a simple majority, and I'll do it by voice vote. And then we will go and find out what happened to Article 4. Those in favor say aye. Aye. This means that you are in favor of no further activity on this. Those who are not in favor of this say no. Unanimous. Unanimous in favor of indefinite postponement. Please stand by. I'll bring you the results of Article 4. We could have stayed home. Huh? We could have stayed home. I know. We should have stayed. I just don't understand this town. It's becoming always. Yeah. We could have stayed. Yeah. Damn small step. Great. Never. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen. Somebody asked me what I did after charm school. Let me give you the count on Article 4. The chief would like to address you when we dissolve the meeting, so please stay in your seats until he has finished addressing you. It's important. Those in favor of the 992 people voting was 387. Those opposed, 605. The article is not adopted. Selectman Burke.
Mr. Moderator,
Your motion, please.
I move to dissolve this town meeting.
Second.
A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is to dissolve the meeting. There be no further action. Stop. Don't move to the exits. Stop. Don't move to the exits.
Get your hand off.
Those in favor of dissolving the meeting say aye. Those opposed say no. Do not move. The meeting is dissolved. Chief, please address.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are establishing a new exiting plan this afternoon. We're going to have you leave in the rear two exits or the side door. The exit you came through when you came in here is going to be closed off. Rear two exits and the side door, please. Thank you very much.
Well, I guess that's the end. The motion to dissolve the meeting is adopted. The meeting is